Right now, the sun is shining, but what if it suddenly went dark? Imagine, in one instant, our star simply vanished. What would happen to us here on Earth? You might think the world would plunge into immediate darkness and chaos, but the reality is far stranger and more fascinating. For a few precious minutes, life would go on completely as normal. We wouldn't even know our star was gone. This might sound impossible, but it all comes down to the speed of light. The sun is about 150 million kilometers away from Earth. Light, as fast as it is, doesn't travel instantaneously. It takes approximately 8 minutes and 20 seconds for sunlight to journey across the solar system and reach our planet. So, if the sun were to disappear, we would have a little over 8 minutes of blissful ignorance. We'd continue to see the sun in the sky, feel its warmth, and go about our day, completely unaware that the light and heat we were experiencing were the last remnants of a star that no longer existed. During this brief window, plants would continue to photosynthesize. Solar panels would keep generating electricity, and the sky would remain a brilliant blue. It would be a perfectly normal day on Earth, a final moment of calm before an irreversible change. The universe would have dealt its hand, but the message hadn't reached us yet. We would be living on borrowed time, basking in the glow of a ghost. But what happens when those 8 minutes are up? That's when the first sign would appear. The sky would snap to black. Not a gradual dimming like an eclipse, but an instant, complete darkness. The moon, which only shines by reflecting sunlight, would vanish. The stars, once hidden by the sun's daytime glare, would suddenly blaze forth in the sky, a breathtaking but terrifying spectacle. The entire celestial landscape would change in the blink of an eye. People across the sunlit side of the globe would look up in confusion and fear, seeing a star-filled sky in the middle of the day. This sudden darkness would be just the beginning. The real catastrophe would be the loss of heat. Without the sun's constant energy, Earth would start to cool down rapidly. It wouldn't be instantaneous, like flicking off a switch. Our atmosphere and oceans act as a giant thermal battery, holding onto a vast amount of heat. In the first hour, the temperature drop would be noticeable, but not yet catastrophic for most places. Average global temperatures might fall by a few degrees. However, the psychological impact would be immediate and immense. Power grids, suddenly faced with unprecedented demand as every light on the planet is switched on, would begin to strain. In cities, the sudden transition from daylight to artificial light would be jarring. Confusion would turn to panic as the reality of the situation began to set in. Communication systems would be overwhelmed as billions of people tried to understand what was happening. It would be a global state of shock. As we move past the first few hours and into the 12-hour mark, the situation would become dramatically worse. The cooling would accelerate. By now, the average global surface temperature would have dropped significantly, likely plummeting below freezing in many regions that are usually temperate. Frost would begin to coat surfaces, even in places that rarely see it. The cold wouldn't just be an inconvenience, it would be a direct threat to life. This is also when we would start to see major infrastructure failures. The extreme cold would put an unbearable strain on power grids. Transformers would fail, and power lines would snap under the weight of accumulating ice. Widespread blackouts would plunge the world into a deeper, more primitive darkness. Without electricity, heating systems would fail, leaving millions vulnerable to the lethal cold. Our complex, interconnected world would start to unravel. Satellites in orbit, many reliant on solar power, would begin to die, disrupting global communication, navigation, and weather forecasting. We would be flying blind. After a full 24 hours, Earth would be a profoundly different planet. We would be in a deep freeze. The average global temperature would have plummeted to around minus 18 degrees Celsius, and it would keep dropping. Ice crystals would start to form in the atmosphere, creating a perpetual, shimmering haze in the air. The most dramatic change would be happening to our oceans. The surface water, exposed to the brutal cold, would begin to freeze. A thin layer of ice would start to form, beginning at the poles and creeping towards the equator. This ice would insulate the deeper water, slowing the freezing process for the ocean depths, but the surface of our blue planet would start turning white. Life on the surface would be facing extinction. Most plants would die within days or weeks. Photosynthesis would have stopped completely, collapsing the foundation of most of our planet's food chains. Animals not adapted to extreme cold would perish. Humanity would be forced to retreat underground or find shelter near geothermal heat sources, like volcanoes or deep earth vents, to survive. The surface of the Earth would become an uninhabitable, frozen wasteland. But what about gravity? Wouldn't Earth just fly off into space the moment the sun disappeared? This is another common misconception. Just like light, gravity has a travel speed, the speed of light. Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity tells us that gravity is the curvature of space-time caused by mass. Changes in that curvature propagate outwards like ripples in a pond. So, just as we would continue to see the sun's light for 8 minutes, we would also continue to feel its gravitational pull for the exact same amount of time. For 8 minutes and 20 seconds, Earth would continue its orbit as if nothing had happened. It would follow the familiar curved path in space-time that the sun had laid out. But then, at the same moment the light winked out, the gravitational tether would snap. Earth would no longer be bound to its orbit. It would fly off into the void, not in a random direction, but in a straight line, continuing on a tangent from its last orbital position. Our planet would become a rogue world, hurtling through the dark, cold emptiness of interstellar space at 30 kilometers per second. It would be a lonely wanderer, carrying the frozen remnants of a once vibrant civilization. This journey through the cosmic darkness would be a one-way trip. The chances of encountering another star system and being captured by a new sun are astronomically small. Our planet, along with any survivors huddled deep within its crust, would be destined to drift forever through the endless night between the stars. It's a terrifying scenario, but it highlights a profound truth. Our existence is incredibly fragile, hanging by the thinnest of threads. We are utterly dependent on the constant, unwavering presence of a single, ordinary star millions of kilometers away. We so often take it for granted, barely giving it a second thought as we go about our daily lives. Yet every ray of light, every bit of warmth, every bite of food is a gift from our sun. Our survival depends on a star we barely think about. It's the silent, powerful engine that drives our world. So the next time you feel the sunshine on your face, take a moment. Appreciate its warmth, because without it, there would be nothing. Thank you for watching. If you found this journey into the hypothetical darkness as fascinating as I did, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more explorations into the wonders and what-ifs of our universe. We'll see you in the next one.